Hey, juniors. Just wanted to give you a few notes for the week to come, as well as give you a little introduction to the SAT history reading passages, which can be pretty difficult. So, first point, we're going to ease up on work. So, as a school, we found that students are a little stressed. You guys have a lot of obligations. Some of you guys are working, some of you guys have younger siblings to take care of. So, we're easing up on work for this week and going forward while we're still online. So, along with that, we are just going to assign one assignment per week due on Friday. So, we expect the whole week for each class to take about 90 minutes or an hour and a half. And along with that, you don't have to do an assignment every day for every class. So, how we take attendance is changing. Administration is going to let you know about this, but don't worry about signing on to every class every day for now. I'll mark you here. All right, quarter three is still closing on this Friday, April 3rd. So if you have any outstanding assignments, any assignments that are still past due, or that you had questions about, or that you'd like to redo or get some feedback on, let me know. Send me an email or come see me during office hours this week. All right, and we still are having April break next week, so keep that in mind. We'll finish off this week with SAT reading. We'll have next week off, and we'll come back and do some short stories. All right, so for this week, the objective is how to find the main idea of a difficult passage. So we're looking at old school history passages on the SAT. They can be from the 1700s, the 1800s, or the 1900s. They have very difficult language and very difficult just writing styles, but the main ideas are usually pretty simple. So we'll talk about how to find the main idea. All right, so this week, watch this video. Make sure you understand it. Let me know if you have questions. Complete the SAT assignment, which is due Friday. And then I'm also holding optional office hours, Wednesday 12 to 1 and Thursday 12 to 1. I'll post the Google Meet link in the description here. But if you have any questions at all outside of those times, shoot me an email. We can always set up a time to meet online as well. All right, so let's dive into the SAT material. Okay, so ignore the left-hand column here. We're just looking at this stuff. And basically, whenever you see something that says passage 1 on it, since it's labeled, it's going to be a paired passage. So you have this passage 1, scroll down, you have this passage 2. Typically, the paired passages, about 70% of the time, they are also the history passage. So before you even dive into reading the passage, you want to check the little paragraph or few sentences of information before the text begins. And the reason you do this is because it'll give you good information. So you want to look for the date. So we know we're in the 1700s. And then look at the title, A Vindication of the Rights of Women. Nobody knows what vindication means. Look, we're talking about the rights of women. 1700s, so don't be surprised if you have some sexist dude. French diplomat, I don't know if that's important. The report was a plan for national education. Okay, so we're probably talking about the education and the rights of education for women. And that's really it. And you're going to have one passage that's probably, if I'm taking a good guess, pro women's rights. And then you're going to have some sexist dude that's anti-women rights. So keep that in mind while you're reading. And then once you hit passage 1, there's going to be very difficult language and super long sentences. So all you have to do is focus on what you can know and what you understand. If you remember from the earlier videos, the main idea is typically repeated a lot. So if you miss the main idea because you don't understand a certain sentence, it should be and it will be repeated later on. So keeping that in mind, let's go through this first paragraph. So that half the race is excluded by the other half from any participation in government. All right, so half the human race can't participate. Those are the women. We're in 1700s. That they are native by birth but foreign by law in the very land where they are born, and that they are property owners yet have no direct influence or representation. Okay, so they have no representation. Are all political phenomena apparently impossible to explain on abstract principle? All right, that's the end of the first sentence. Nobody knows what that means. Just half the human race is excluded, is left out of everything. But on another level of ideas, the question changes and may be easily resolved. The purpose of all these institutions must be the happiness of the greatest number. Okay, so the purpose of it is to make everybody happy. Everything that leads us farther from this purpose is an error. Everything that brings us closer is in truth. All right, I see purpose twice, so pay attention to this. If the exclusion from public employments decreed against women leads to a greater sum of happiness, again, that repetition, because we're getting to the main idea, then this becomes a law. All right, so in short, we should do what makes us happy. And any other ambition would be a reversal of our primary destinies, and it will never be in women's interest to change the assignment they've received. Okay, so that's the main idea of this whole passage. It's not going to get any more complicated than that. So once you know the main idea, you really don't have to understand anything else. So look, half the human race is excluded, and really the key is that it will never be in women's interest to change their assignment. We should do everything to make everybody happy, and women shouldn't change their assignment. You can scroll down. I mean, you can get more about this. Like, he talks about how women are peaceful and delicate. But you can just assume that. This guy's a 1700s, like, sexist writer. And so just make some assumptions once you know the main idea. The main ideas aren't that difficult. It's the text that's really difficult. I can't stress that enough. The main ideas are going to be very simple and straightforward because the text is so difficult. All right, so passage 1, main idea. We see it in the repetition. We should do things that make everybody happy. And women should just basically suck it up and deal with the assignment that they've been given. So they're pushed down into a lower status in the 1700s, but they should just deal with it. All right. So then going on to passage 2. Since passage 1 bashed women, passage 2 will probably defend women. So contending for the rights of women. All right, so pro-rights of women. My main argument is built on the simple principle that if she had been not prepared by education, remember education was the topic that we saw in the few sentences before the passage began. We're talking about education and the rights of women. To become the companion of man, she will stop the progress of knowledge and virtue, for truth must be common to all. Okay, so everybody needs education. It should be common to all. Later on, you see some more stuff about happiness and blah, 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 and women should be allowed to figure out their own happiness. But that's all you need to know. So passage 1, women shouldn't have rights. It'll make everybody happier. They should be fine with the role that they're given. Passage 2, women's rights should be common to all women. And if you look at question 34 here, according to the author of passage 2, now that you know the main idea of passage 2, you can easily get rid of a few of these answers. So women must enjoy personal happiness and financial security. Sure, I mean, nothing about financial security, so no. B, follow all currently prescribed social rules. No, because she's trying to, remember, passage 2 is saying women should be able to have the same rights. C, replace men. She's not saying that she replace men. D, receive an education comparable to that of men. So it should be common to all. It should be comparable to men, to that of men. And then education is just your main idea here. So you've seen those words multiple times. Your answer here is just going to be D. All right, so that's how you answer the passages. And then you're going to get a question like 39, guaranteed. You're always going to be asked the main idea of these passages and then the overall relationship between the passage 1 and passage 2. The key to this type of question is to answer it before you even look at the answers, because they're going to try to trip you up. So take a minute, think about the difference between how passage 2 relates to passage 1 before you look at these answers. So I'll give you 10 seconds to think about that. 3 seconds. 1 second. All right, so the answer here is just that passage 2 promotes women's rights, so it's going to disagree with passage 1. So passage 2 disagrees with passage 1. It doesn't draw alternate conclusions. It doesn't really elaborate. It just disagrees. It doesn't restate. So then we're just looking for the word disagrees, or something that means the same thing. So strongly challenges is the answer we're looking for here. So 39, just going to be A. All right, so I gave you guys a Google Doc for your assignment due on Friday. And it's just how to find the main idea of a difficult history passage. And it's just walking you through those steps. So go through passage 1, paste in 2 to 3 quotes that provide the main idea. And then bold the most important words, because students, as a rule, I love you guys, but you guys tend to use really long quotes. So I don't want any long quotes. I literally just want quotes that are like respecting their own happiness, or rights of women, education, truth must be common. I don't want to see something that's like this long. Nobody can understand that. This is 1700s language. It's super difficult. This is like what I studied in college. They don't expect you guys to know all this. So just pick the short phrase that you guys know. They should not be full sentences. Number 2, write the main idea for passage 1 and the main idea for passage 2. So what we just looked at, main idea for passage 1, women should accept their position in society. Passage 2, women deserve equal education to men. And that's it. And then 3, explain how the passages relate to each other. Passage 2 disagrees with passage 1. And that's it. And then you'll be able to answer these questions, because you'll typically be able to eliminate 2 answers right away, because you know passage 1 will never say anything nice about women, and passage 2 will never say anything negative about women. All right, and then just stick to your main idea. If there's 4 answer choices and one says the word education in it, pick the one that says the word education in it. All right, guys, so let me know if you have any questions. Again, I'm holding office hours this week. They're optional, but if you want to come in on Wednesday, 12 to 1, or Thursday, 12 to 1, I can answer any questions then, but also shoot me an email. I'm readily available this week. All right, take care, guys. Hope you're all doing well, and I look forward to seeing you sooner rather than later. All right, have a good week, guys.